Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about all those automotive things that help us become more profitable, more efficient, but most importantly, offer a better customer service experience for our clients. Because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. If your customers are happy, they keep coming back time and time again for everything that they need, even stuff they don't know that you do, because they trust you. And more importantly than that, they bring their family members, they bring their friends, the people they work with, the people from church, they bring everybody and they sing your praises. So I am fortunate to have a great network of people that are experts, that are either doing it now or have done it successfully. And they share their knowledge with the audience every week. Real content that's actionable from established experts to help you better do what you do. Never any filler, never any fluff. We're not entertainers. We're here to bring you stuff that'll make you money. So this week, welcome to the show, Michael Barich, otherwise known to his friends as the Tennessee Titan.
Well, good evening, Paul. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be able to come on here and share some of my story with you and the rest of the LinkedIn world out there. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you, man. You're part of the SDL crew. And for those that are not familiar, Joe and Eric, every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time, have a forum where fixed ops professionals get together and we talk about the things that we've experienced and how to overcome them. Because as my good friend Paul Machine always says, a rising tide lifts all boats. And when you have a mindset of, hey, I don't know everything, but I'm connected with so many great people that know a lot. When we put our collective minds together, we become unstoppable. So if you're not part of SDL Nation, look them up on LinkedIn and DM Joe Chambers or Eric Jarugi. How do you pronounce his name? I've never pronounced it correct.
Howigi.
Say that again?
Howigi.
Howigi.
That's right.
That's it? Howigi.
My boy Eric and my boy Joe.
So DM those guys.
Very grateful to have a relationship with those two, because at the end of the day, why we're here tonight is to share some of the stories. But I also feel very strongly that we speak a different language in the automotive world than the outside world. And so one of the things I'm grateful for is be able to spend that hour with that family every Sunday morning, so I can be heard and I can listen and understand what they're talking about, right? Because it's not normal chat. It's not normal key performance indicators. I think, it's just a great group of people. And I can't say enough about them. And I'm just not sure why we don't have hundreds of people on that broadcast every Sunday morning.
You know, it's growing. I think we had a record this morning. So it's growing. And it's just getting better and better. It's raw and real, and you get some real knowledge out of it. It's not something to hook you to buy something. There's no selling at this. There's none whatsoever. We simply talk about all those things that we go through on a daily basis. So before I want to have Michael just kind of tell us a little bit about how he started in automotive. And I want to get into, man, you went from almost dead last to number one in the nation. That's stronger than garlic. That's huge. So I want to share that with the audience, but I want to get to some comments first because I hate to run behind. You know, there's some shows you tune into and they never respond. So you stop watching. So I do my best to respond to everybody because I appreciate you guys out there, the ones that are live and the ones that watch it on the replay. There are a lot of people that watch it on the replay. So starting us off, Russell B. Hill, let the show begin. So excited to be part of this one. I can only imagine how this will go. Me too, Russell. And says, good evening, everyone. Jerry Davis. We got a bunch of SDL brothers here. Jerry Davis, This is going to be another great show. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate your support every week. And speaking of the guy himself, Joe Chambers. Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. We are glad you were here as well. Vanessa Lynch. Hello, everyone. And Sean Kingery. Good Sunday evening. Michael Dean Offmuth. Good evening, gents. I'm looking forward to my hat, man. Guys, we are Elite FI. I can't wait to get my hat. LinkedIn user, it's got to be Lamont. Yep, it says, hello all. I'm looking forward to this one. LinkedIn user Lamont. As soon as the show ends, his name will show up. But for some reason during the show, it doesn't. Ryan Hamilton. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday weekend. Ryan, thank you. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Every day is a wonderful day. Whether it's weekend, during the week, doesn't matter. Because when you work for yourself and you work out of the home, every day is the same. It's like Groundhog Day minus Bill Murray. All right, we have Vanessa Lynch says, woot, woot. Danta Kelly, hi, everyone. And Jerry Davis says, we are very blessed to be able to hear from the Titan, the Tennessee Titan. Joshua Taylor, another one of my favorite people, MFT in the house of Paul. Mike, the coach Vogel. Good evening, Paul and Michael, the fixed ops doc from Mike, the fixed ops coach. Robert Charbonneau, hello, my friends. Hello, Robert. And Jeff Daniel, adapt, overcome, and conquer equals Michael Barich. Hashtag raise the bar. I added that piece myself. Jerry Davis, but he has a shirt on. That's a good thing. I didn't even have to remind him for that. Joe Chambers, hey, Donta. And Ron Ushers, my favorite retired tech. He's the only retired tech that I know. I never thought anybody actually retired from the business. Says, hello, Michael and Paul. And Jerry Davis says, not everyone wants to be the best. Not everyone has the drive like the Titan. And Greg Cooper, oh my God, Greg, we haven't talked in too long, man. I think I reached out to you. We are overdue for a call. So Monday, Tuesday, you pick the day. Let's do it. Greg says, hey guys, Paul, super pumped for you and what you are accomplishing. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Joe Chambers says, let's hear about accountability from the Titan. Accountability? Man, what's that? In the car business? Come on, Joe.
It's critical and key.
Ryan Baum, the MFT, not shy. I think I know what those three letters stands for, but this is a family show, so you'll have to use your imagination. So again, Michael, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how you got started in this business and how you got to this point today?
You know, I came up through the ground level. It started as a part-time gig as an automotive parts driver. I was recruited into the dealership environment and went to work at a very young age in a parts department at a Nissan store back home in Chicago. I quickly found that there is incredible opportunity in this business because no 2 days are ever the same. And so I really welcomed and loved the opportunity to be in that arena. And so I got an opportunity to be a parts manager at 23 years old. And as I had worked my way up until that opportunity, I had excelled in wholesale parts and selling collision repair parts across the country, for that matter. I mean, in Chicago, I sold parts across 5 states, and that gave me the springboard and opportunity to get my first parts manager's job. So we were part of an automotive group, and the dealer and I had a really good relationship. And so our sister store had some turnover from the fixed ops position, and he threatened me that the next time it happens, I'm going there, and I didn't have a say in it. So I'm really thankful that he had enough trust and belief in me to give me that opportunity when he did. And so I worked for that dealer for just shy of 9 years. I was promoted to general manager before I left. And I really love the automotive industry. I love all the challenges about it. And I think you have to have a certain special DNA to be able to take on those challenges. And you have to be a problem solver at the end of the day. So when I left, I was single and took some time off just to kind of regroup. I played a lot of golf. I was out on my boat. I rode my motorcycle and just try to enjoy life for a few months. And then I signed on with a single point Toyota store as a fixed ops director. And we quickly grew from a single point Toyota store to having a second Toyota store, a Honda store, a Hyundai store, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. And it happened quick. So I was intimately involved in every one of those buy sells, asset acquisition, inventory evaluations. It was great experience for me. I also graduated from the National Automobile Dealers Association, their dealer academy in 2007. And I can't say enough good things about NADA. For all the professionals that are out there, the dealer academy was a fantastic educational process, and it's like a PhD for guys like me in the automotive industry. It's really like a different level, and so I was super excited to go through the academy, and I spent just under 16 years with that automotive group before I left. And then I was recruited by another automotive group in San Antonio, Texas, which was a long shot for me. And what I mean by that is I grew up in the Chicagoland area. I never thought in a million years I would ever leave Chicago. And so I received a phone call from a dealer group that was very interested. And over the course of my career, I've had many of those phone calls. I've been very fortunate, but I've always shut them down right away and just told them up front and honest, I'm not for hire. So I enjoyed what I was doing. And when you're at a dealership, an automotive group for almost 16 years, you got to be doing something right.
It's a long time in our business.
It is. In dog years, I'd be close to dead, right? So I went to San Antonio and inherited a very broken Audi store, but it was great to get my foot into the door of a luxury brand, and we did a formidable job quickly of turning that store around. And it was a shame because I really like San Antonio. Being from the Midwest, it was really different going down south, and people saying please and thank you and yes sir and no ma'am, and actually having manners that if you were walking into a gas station like 10 paces from the door, the people would actually hold the door and wait for you. Like it wasn't taxing to them. It was nice. So
genuine.
Having the opportunity to meet people with manners and just good-hearted people was great for my own personal journey. The unfortunate part of that was they went through 5 general managers in a little over 2.5 years that I was there. And when you come from a background of stability, like I've only had a couple of gigs in my entire career. So that was something that I didn't plan on when I accepted that role. And one of the guys that I worked for ended up coming to Murfreesboro Nissan as an executive manager. His name is David Beard, and he's a great guy. So David reached out to me when he heard that I was leaving and opened the door for me to come out and visit his store and get a lay of the land. I've never been to Nashville area. And after looking at all the pieces, I thought, man, this is a great opportunity.
Wow. That's a hell of a story.
I'm old.
I'm old. The same color beard, man. And you know what? Starting off in the parts department, I mean, that's probably the best place to start because most people don't understand parts. And I have a lot of really fond memories because back in the day in high school, I drove a parts panel van. It was an E150 or E100, one of those, with 3 on the tree. So I would drive the parts truck. I would go to all the garages and drop off parts for a company called Fair Auto Supply. And there's a lot of pressure in the parts department, right? You go up and down, up and down. And I remember one day, this one of the owners, Ralph, he was always wound tighter than a drum in the morning In the afternoon, he was relaxed, telling jokes, and then towards the end of the day, then he would get wound up again. But one day, I'll never forget it. Ralph got so torqued that he wound up and he kicked a box that was on the floor in the parts department. Well, later on that afternoon, Ralph had a big old cast on his foot because there was a starter motor in that box that he kicked with his foot. So I have fond memories of parts department back when. And that, we got a couple of comments here. Jerry Davis, Michael Barich has such a passion for this business. His ability to help everyone around him is just wonderful. He's a true friend to us all, always available to ask questions and willing to help. I thank God every day for SDL family. Without SDL, I would not be in this great network. Thank you, Michael and Paul. Hey, we feel, I know I do, and I'm sure Michael does, we feel the same way about you and everybody else in SDL. It's a great, great group of people. And all the way from the West Coast, we have Michael Weldon. Good evening, Mike and Paul. Good to see you. Great to see you as well. And Jeff Daniel says, parts are unsung heroes in our business. Embrace and encourage them, and you will share success. Well, that kicks off our conversation here. Inventory obsolescence. Mike, what's that, man? Obsolescence?
That's a great question. I think they refer to that as frozen capital.
Bingo. You know, one of my favorite things walking into a store was I would walk straight to the parts department. When I'm doing an assessment of a store, I walk straight to the parts department, and my favorite area was always the special order shelf. You want to talk about frozen capital. So I would look at the parts manager and I would point to that big stack of stuff. Much of it had dust on it. And I would ask, I said, do you know how much money you have tied up in special order parts right there? And then you'd get that look. Oh, well, I could look that up. No, that's okay. I was just wondering if you knew. He didn't know. She didn't know. So then the follow-up question is, all right, so of all those items that are on that shelf, again, much of it with dust, do you know what percentage of those are scheduled? You know, like customers coming in next Tuesday to have that put on. And again, I get that look. He says, I could look that up. That's okay. It's not necessary. The point is, obsolescence is a real problem because you have so much time to return stuff. But if you don't have a handle on what that stuff is or how long it's been around, a lot of it can't go back. And if you're lucky, you're getting what, 50 cents on the dollar if you can sell it later?
That's correct.
What are some of the things you're seeing around obsolescence?
Well, in particular, as it relates to Murfreesboro Nissan, I flew out to meet with David and kind of got a lay of the land of the store. And let me paint the picture. It was a dealership. It was a department store that was converted to a dealership. So it wasn't pretty. It wasn't beautiful. We had a service drive, one door. And so, yeah, there was a lot of challenges in the facility alone. But as I kind of did that walk, of course, being a former parts manager and a parts guy, I walked right into the parts department for just that very reason. So much to my surprise, I saw boxes lined up with parts in them and then like a report by bin sheet stapled to the front of it. So it was like a bin count for what was in that box. And I asked the parts manager, I said, what is that? And he goes, oh, those are returned parts, special order parts that didn't come in, stuff that got returned from shops, so on and so forth. I said, well, we just went through a buy sell. So the store went through a buy sell in August of 2018. And it kind of got the light bulb illuminated. And I'm thinking, well, with a buy sell, you should have the opportunity to return that. So I asked some questions, poked around, and he shared with me, he being the parts manager, was kind enough to share with me an email chain relating to the obsolescence return. And to understand the picture a little more, the store had been in business for like 38 years. and we're in the backdrop in the backyard of Nissan's national headquarters, which is located where I live here in Franklin, Tennessee. So the store's in Murfreesboro. And as I navigated through all these emails, it was apparent to me that there was a lot of opinion that shouldn't have anything to do with people there, same parts manager being in there, all kinds of crazy stuff that was infuriating to me. So I'm built around integrity. So integrity for me is about doing the right thing 100% of the time, even when no one's looking. So when I decided that I was going to take that role on, I responded to all the people on the email chain from Nissan and professionally told them what I thought of their opinions, and there was no place for it. Like, if we're going to be partners and you're taking on a brand new dealership, then they should have allowed us to return those parts. And so the short version of a long story is I put a huge target on my back. Nobody goes into a store on day one and says, hey, this is what's going on. And within a week, I had the area general manager at the dealership to have a meeting, and he brought an entourage of Nissan people that were probably on that email chain that didn't particularly care for my opinion. But at the end of the day, the opinion's mine, right? So I can't understand starting out a relationship with the ability to clean the slate for the dealer. And the worst part about it is that guy was a DSPM for our store, and he knew all about that pink elephant and gorilla in the parts department. That's a problem. When he's talking about 150 grand of money capital, it's big money. So
especially when dealers run lean on cash to begin with.
Correct. So I ruffled a few feathers, and at the end of the meeting, I knew I had a big target on my back, but I'm a big boy. I've got broad shoulders. I wasn't worried about it. At the end of the day, it was more important for me to share what my opinion was and what kind of position they put the dealership in. So I think in an attempt to shut me up, they gave me some money to return some of those parts.
Good for you, man.
Thank you.
Now, let's see here. Craig Tomazik says, Jeff, especially in the day and age when everything is back ordered. And Jerry David says, if you tie up your money, you can't have the parts on the shelf you need. If you don't manage your obsolescence, you don't manage your department. Bam. And Russell Hill said, I want to know how in 3 years there about how you went from the bottom to number one in the country, most of which was during a pandemic. Russell, we are taking each one of those steps one by one, because that is such a fascinating story. When the Titan told me this, I said, holy shit, you need to be on here and tell that story, because that's one hell of an accomplishment, man. I mean, not too many people, could be a movie. Remember the Titan. So yeah, that's one hell of a story. So we're going to get to each one of those items. Jerry Davis says manufacturers need to be reminded from time to time they work for us, not the other way around. That's the timing of that statement right now couldn't be any more relevant with all of the stuff that's going on right now at the OEM level. Jeff Daniels says, when starting at a large volume store as fixed ops director, replacing a 45-year vet, I called in an inventory team. Even though our inventory was spot on for years per the controller, well, 154K in the hole later. Oops. We inventoried all 6 stores. It was ugly. Never assume. That is for sure. People don't realize, because most people don't understand parts. They don't realize how much money is tied up in the parts department.
Well, and it's critical to production. It's critical to the throughput. Without a part, in most cases, you have no job to sell.
And that ties into the next topic we're going to talk about, which is CSI, right? I'm sure nobody's ever had a flood of customers coming in for a recall item that nobody had parts for. right? CSI is very important, because if the customer is not happy, they're not coming back and they're telling everybody how horrible you are, whether or not it's your fault. So what type of CSI, were there CSI challenges when you walked into this store? And how did you overcome some of that?
I felt like I needed a bulletproof vest. It was awful. I was taking arrows and daggers every single day, because when people are coming in for what's supposed to be express service and we're delivering the turnaround time in somewhere in the neighborhood of 3, 4, or 4+ hours, you're not making friends. Our CSI was atrocious. Our online presence was just as bad. And then I got to get reminded every day when we'd get the surveys back from the manufacturer just how awful we were based on the customer comments. And for a guy like me that's fiercely competitive, it was a tough pill to swallow. So I think too many people complicate the business, to be quite honest with you, Paul. I think it's very simple. And I feel like it's good people and good processes deliver a higher level of customer satisfaction, and in turn, it equates to a higher level of employee satisfaction. And that's where the magic starts, because at that point, you reduce turnover and increase profitability as a byproduct. So it took me a better part of 3 or 4 months to try to figure out where the skeletons were, the bodies were buried, who was a team player, who wasn't. And I executed all of those folks that didn't need to be on our team probably in the middle of July of 2019. I started there on March 1st.
Okay.
So when you take on a team that's losing, and they're not losing a little bit, they're losing in a big way every single day, they don't know what it's like to win. So, I had to share with them my culture and my vision and my expectations of each and every one of those people, and their roles and responsibilities that have to be taken care of every day. So at that point, when you're talking about competing, and the message I shared with them is I wanted to compete with the best in the country doing it. So they're looking at me like I'm speaking another different language, right? But you have to teach people how to win. And the key to doing that was implementing express service. I spent 15 plus years with Toyota and understand express maintenance at a very high level. Nissan also has an express service tool, and we quickly made some changes. We had, I think, 4 express techs at that time, and it's a small store. It's only got 26 bays total. So I went from 4 to 8 to 10, 12, and then got to 16 express technicians.
Wow.
At that point, I expected them to be able to turn a car in 20 or 30 minutes, at least making sure that we got it in, completed the multi-point inspection. We shared those results with the customers, and we could provide timely service. So once we did that, it was good for me. It was good for my sleep at night. I didn't have to lick my wounds while I was lying in bed every day.
Express service, I don't think it's all that complicated. I mean, if you allocate the right amount of time and you have the proper communication with your customers, express service should be something that's welcome. Because let's face it, people are busy today. I might need to get something done quickly. I might not have half a day to hang out at the store. But yet it seems as though different stores have a different understanding of what express service means. I walked into one showroom and the sign was, ask us about our express delivery, 2 hours. 2 hours? Man, I could be dead in 2 hours. Express delivery to me is 20 to 30 minutes. That's express. Another store I drove into, I needed to get my car serviced. I see up top of the building, it says express service. I pull up, no door open, so I get out of the car and I go in. I said, yeah, I'm here for the whatever service it was. What day would you like to come in? Well, actually, I'm here now. Well, no, but what day next week can you come in? All right. It was my second language, but now I think in English, and Dutch is now my second language. So I'm pretty sure I understood when I looked at the building and it said express service. I should be able to get it done now, not next week. I'm sorry, sir. We can't get you until next week. Well, then I would suggest strongly take that express part of the service sign out, take it off the building, because you don't understand express service, nor do you offer it. So I left and didn't go back. So that's crazy. But to go from 4 to 16, I mean, that's gotta boost the CSI right out of the gate, no?
Absolutely, as well as employee morale.
Because you guys are getting it done and you're making customers happy.
That's correct.
And you know, we talk about winning being important. It is, because that contributes to how you feel and what you do. If you're constantly losing, you got to go into work like this in the morning. And all that translates to the customer. The customer can read the body language real quickly. Like if you were to walk into a store, any store that you've never been into, how long is it going to take you to size up what's going on in that store? By looking at the people.
Well, I think you can make that determination pretty quickly. Is this a friendly environment that's welcoming, or are these people like hiding behind their computers and not making eye contact?
Yeah. So, no, it's huge. I want to get to a couple of comments. Mike Vogel, Nissan is a nightmare OEM, not a partner with their dealers. Eric says, here to learn, gentlemen, let's go. And Jerry Davis says, FFV is key. Fixed first visit. It can make or break you. The 2 P's, process and people. Rome was not built in a day. You know, usually you hear people, process, and tools, right? The first one in any trilogy is always the people. Let's talk about recruitment or recruiting, phone screening, staffing additions, lane manager, shop foreman, express advisors, main shop advisors, BDC implementation. Share with us some of the things that you walked into.
Well, in trying to get a lay of the land and determining that I was going to have some casualties, I started recruiting immediately. So I would phone screen people ad nauseum. And it really went on 7 days a week, whether it was 6 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, or 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. I was reaching out to people because it's arguable that I'm not for everybody, and I know that, but winning is important.
No way.
Believe it or not. But, you know, I do know what some of the challenges are, but I don't want to be surrounded by losers. I want people to come to work with the same mentality and commitment that I do each and every day. What some of the people on this show are making some comments, some of those people work for me or work with me, but I've never once in my entire career got to the point where I came to work and put my feet up on my desk and be like, man, I made it. Like, you know, every day is a new opportunity. And I'm really grateful for that in the car business, because your success is truly measured by what happened at closeout, right? And then it starts over the next day and you don't really get a chance to celebrate. But I think celebrating the wins is equally important. So I recruited at nauseum, and then I went on to be able to build a team that was very formidable as we closed out 2019. And when you say we went from dead last, we weren't quite dead last, but we were really close. So I just felt like we had a lot of great momentum and a lot of things happening for us where CSI had changed and customers were happy. Employee morale had never been higher. People were making money. It was fun to go to work, which is the environment I choose to be in. And then for the first time in my life, I got to experience the word that starts with a P, a pandemic, right? And I feel guilty for admitting this, but I went to my executive manager and I'm like, man, there's never been a worse time for a pandemic. And I said that in kind, in truth, like, man, I don't want to have to deal with this crap now. We've got a lot of good stuff happening, not taking away from the fact that there is a pandemic and a lot of people lost their lives and businesses closed and, you know, all the things that's happened during that time. So we're definitely finishing in the bottom 10% of the nation for customer pay parts and labor sales. Our CSI had snuck up, but we weren't winning yet. We were close.
Recruiting is something that, you know, when you go into a bad situation, right? I always look for the good in everything. As I'm getting to know you, you do as well. And I'm a firm believer that out of adversity comes opportunity. When you go in and you've got a team that's not really all pulling in the same direction, if any of them are pulling at all, you know, you could sit back and complain and say, oh, this is what I have to work with. Or you can do what you do. You roll up your sleeve, you dig in, and you continually get on the phone, recruit, have conversations, talk to people until you find just the right mix. And it's that right mix that allows you to cut some of the dead wood and allows your team to be more cohesive, to get better results. Because if everybody's firing on all cylinders and everybody's making money, everybody's happy.
Well, it also allowed me to sprinkle my DNA throughout the dealership, because not only did I do all of the recruiting and all of the phone screens and all of the interviews, I onboarded all the people that I hired. And my onboarding consisted of providing them with a PowerPoint orientation training. So they got to hear on day one, right from the horse's mouth, what the expectations were. And so it wasn't a surprise to somebody later on if they were making a bad choice and I happened to walk by and see it. You know, I think there's something called coachable, teachable moments. And as a leader, you have to attack those right in that moment. And one of the other things we did was have daily huddle meetings. So my service and parts team needed to be there 15 minutes before the doors opened up, because I was hosting. And I've got a pet peeve, and it's called punctuality. You need to be on time and be prepared and ready to work. So, you know, a few people walked in late once or twice, but not more than that, or they weren't part of our team. So I think when you're trying to tackle and eat that pink elephant, you have to do it one bite at a time. So the daily huddle meetings allowed me to share some of the challenge that we had the day before with the team and how we need to correct those. So my management style is a little different than most. I allow people to have some latitude to make decisions. Like if I vetted them and put them through that hiring process and went through orientation, I give them latitude to make decisions without coming to a manager, asking for permission. You got to do what you got to do to take care of the customer. Now, the best part about that type of open-mindedness is the fact that if someone made a wrong decision and decided they were going to put something to policy, what I would do in that moment is sit down and say, hey, Paul, I understand you did this to take care of Mr. Jones, but can you tell me why? And I would listen to whatever that answer is and say, well, if I didn't like the answer, I would tell them how I expect them to take care of it next time. So we're continually building every single day to get better, because we have to talk openly and honestly amongst our employees.
The huddle is key, because if you're, you know, the time to change direction is during the game, right? If stuff isn't going correctly, to not have those daily huddles. I mean, stores that don't do that, they're missing huge opportunities, Because if you had stuff that happened yesterday that either you handled correctly or incorrectly, at least you can talk about it as a team and make a plan. Okay, so this didn't work quite the way we had hoped it would work. Maybe what do you guys think? What do you gals think? And kind of collectively come up with what you feel is a better way. By the same token, if you reinforce those things that you did well, then that's less things that you really need to be worried about. I mean, you're always looking at everything, but you tend to focus more on the things that you need to improve than on the things that you're doing correctly, right?
Absolutely.
Now, you're a big one on process.
Huge.
And in service, the one of the biggest parts of the process is service reception, write-up, service delivery. You know, when you walked into this Nissan store, what was the preparedness of the average service advisor as far as when a customer came in? Did they do all of the preliminary checks ahead of time? Did they pre-write orders? Did they greet them in the drive? Did they know the people? Tell us what you walked into from that standpoint.
It was complete chaos. There's one drive, one door, 100+ cars a day that went through there, and there was zero leadership. So there weren't any processes, which really complicated things. So I'm a firm believer that the hello has to be just as important as the goodbye. So service reception and write-up is a key component in the overall service visit. And you have to teach to the process. So this is how we go out and meet and greet customers. And I think every manufacturer has a question on the survey relative to promptness of that greeting, right?
That's
so
right.
I term that our desire score. You don't have to tell me you want to take care of customers. You need to show me as a team that we can be at or above whatever the rest of the dealerships are that are doing it. And so when I say compete with the best in the business, I'm not just talking about on a couple of metrics. I'm talking across the board. So you have to get out and meet and greet customers promptly. It's where they're comfortable in their vehicle. You have to be able to welcome them to the dealership and find out how you can assist them for the day.
When customers come in, did the advisor, did they check for declined previous work? Did they check for outstanding recalls? Did they check for what recommended services were due as opposed to customer coming in for just an oil change? Because every customer thinks all they need is an oil change. Did they do any of that?
Little to none of it. They did okay checking recalls, but none of the other stuff happened. And they didn't have a menu system. They didn't do a good job of checking the service history for declined services. But so I complicated things a little bit, Paul, and I think I need to explain this. As we got in the express service business, I decided I was going to bet on me, and I offered express service in 60 minutes or less, or I'll pay for their next service. So I put them up and on the table for my team, and they had to back and support me on that. And then I complicated things by extending our hours of service. So I opened an hour earlier and stayed open an hour later. It gave me an extra 10 hours a week to take care of customers. So
how'd your team feel about that?
Well, it worked.
How did they react initially?
You know, there's always pushback to change because people are creatures of habit. And at the end of the day, you just have to tell them why. And the why is to better serve our customers and provide service to them when it's convenient for them, right? And then I took it one step further and decided I'd completely throw the monkey wrench in the pile, and I went to no appointment necessary. So not only would I honor the
with one drive, you went to no
one drive. That's right.
Oh man, that's some big cayunes there, bro.
Someone's got to carry them.
Wow.
Not for the faint of heart.
Jeff Daniels said your replacement had some huge shoes to fill, sir. Well done. I agree. Wow. Jerry Davis says his replacement gets to walk the path that his brass balls paved into the ground. Jeff Daniels says day 1, hour 1, you'll start seeing your opportunities. Absolutely. You know what? I've walked into stores where I said, I'm talking to the dealer and said, how long are you scheduling out for? Oh, 3 weeks. Oh, well, have you thought about split shifts? No. Okay. Is it a facilities issue? Yeah, we have some limitations. Have you thought about remote service or drop off and pick up, any of that? No. Do you want more business? I just flat out, I went there. No. Well, alrighty then. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I mean, if somebody doesn't want help, you can't help them, right?
That's
huge.
That's truth.
Craig Tomazik says, express service always seemed a catch-22 in my last years in a dealer some years ago. It was seemingly more of an excuse to decline work with the excuse of time. I don't know about that. What's your feeling in that?
I don't agree with it. Obviously, I hitched my wagon to the express service because people want the most precious commodity anybody that can fog a mirror is time, right? Who wants to hang out with me and my team at the dealership for 4 or 5 hours? That just doesn't work. Nope. But I also want to make sure that you and everybody else understands I'm not in the oil change business. I've never been in the oil change business. I'm in the express service business. So in addition to the oil change, your vehicle is actually due for a tire rotation and brake inspection. And with the wheels and tires off of your vehicle, Paul, my technicians can get an accurate look at your brake system, both the inboard and outboard pad. So we hammer home, and I have word tracks for everything. We hammer home maintenance. So it's a 5,000 mile service. It's a 25,000 mile service. It's a 55,000 mile service, whatever that is. And you have to have that same passion and commitment to be able to share that with 100% of the customers. And trust me, I greet a lot of customers, and I've never once in my career said, okay, when someone said I was here for an oil change. Like we have to educate our customers. Preventative maintenance is cheaper than repairs. And I'm the professional that should be able to share that with our customers.
Exactly.
Because if we're not talking to them about the importance of the tire rotation, prolonging the life and wear of their tires, and then in 25,000 miles, their tires are shot, they've never been rotated. Like, do I have some onus for that?
Yeah.
I agree.
And the other thing too is that, express service, then again, I respect where you're coming from. Not everybody has the same management staff. Not everybody has the same teams. But in my opinion, express is express when it can be express. But when express uncovers a greater need that affects the safety and performance of your car, I'm going to do my damnedest to educate you on that. And then express becomes not express, but I'm certainly not going to turn away work by any means. We work around that, right? I mean, those are opportunities. Those are the opportunities that you're looking for. In my opinion, that express is the hook to get them in.
I agree. You have to drive traffic to your door, or, as a fixed ops director, I don't think there's a greater responsibility that I have. Outside of being a good leader, I have to drive traffic into the dealership. And It's a skill set that I've worked on for as long as I've been in the business.
Now, Ryan Baum says, truly one of the best in the business. I can personally say he truly believes in what he preaches. It's not just talk. When you have a boss that makes you want to run through the wall for him, it's truly special. Never met a person that works harder or makes you feel more part of the team as Mike does. #winning.
That's right. Good stuff.
That my friend, is what everybody should strive for, because that's really the ideal. And that doesn't happen in every store. That comes from that comes from right here.
Yeah. So what I read, what I get out of the comments from Ryan, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to coach, teach, and train him, is that he's saying he liked winning, and winning is important.
If you set it up properly, they're not doing it for you, they're doing it for them. That's the key.
That's correct.
When the team does it for them, that's when everybody truly is pulling the rope in the same direction. I mean, that's, hats off to you, man, because not everybody achieves that. Joshua Taylor says, Minute Manager. And Dante Kelly, talk about our 3 pillars. Craig Tomaszek, 100 cars a day through one service drive is massive. There had to be a line outside at all times. It's got to be like a Chick-fil-A drive-through, man.
It was very similar. So then you just have to staff for that demand, right? We had, at the time I started, two desks or 2 workstations set up for express service advisors. We went from 2 to 6 in a very short period of time. If you have a demand for that, and you mentioned Chick-fil-A, the pandemic, I think, has been very good to them and their business plan, but
huge.
In Murfreesboro, they redid a frontage road because there was so much traffic on it that they had to make room for more cars to get access to their business. Now, that's a great problem to have. So when you're faced with that kind of challenge, you've got to take it head on, right? I need to take care of these people. We're committed to creating and fostering lifetime relationships, and I'm not going to do that by leaving them in the parking lot ignored for 10 minutes or 2 minutes. 2 minutes waiting to get into a service department and have your vehicle serviced seems like an eternity.
It's a lifetime.
So
we live in micro moments today. We expect instant. Well,
so the part here that I guess I need to talk about is that throughout my years, I've learned that one of the very first customer expectations is clear and easy access to the service department. And when you take on a new store that was performing at such a low level that they were, I'm sure a lot of the customers that were coming back were scarred from a previous visit. And what I wanted to alleviate and remove was a trigger to think back to that last service. So it was really important for us to keep the drive clear. And it was everyone's responsibility to do that, not just a porter. So if you needed to get a seat cover and a floor mat in the car and pull it out, we were really good at getting cars through the drive.
And then the work completed on time in relation to expectations, was that relatively quickly, or did that take some time?
Well, in the Nissan world, and I don't know that it's much different from any other Japanese import, if the box was checked no to was your vehicle fixed right the first time, your CSI score dropped by 370 points. On a 1,000-point scale, you have 0 chance of winning. The car has to be fixed. So we talked about that ad nauseum with my main shop technicians and my express team. So they had to make sure they didn't leave the car with a grease print on the steering wheel or door panel. That's just annoying to a customer. And then sharing with the team of technicians the importance of making sure that we're fixing the vehicle right. And we're taking the appropriate time to do a test drive when we're finished, because that, I believe, in my opinion, is something that can be corrected with heightened awareness from your team. And when winning is important as it was to me and my team, I think everybody quickly understood that because no one actually took the time to explain that to them.
Did you have teams, or did you, with your techs, did you work in teams, or? all individual? Did one guy or gal pitch in to help another one to get cars ready in time? Did you encounter much of that?
We did not work in teams. All of my technicians booked their hours individually, but there was good camaraderie amongst the group, and I think I had weekly tech meetings every Friday at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. I would have a powwow with our technicians because it was important to make sure that they understood their importance to the success of the team, and having open and honest communication provided them, I think, the transparency that they were looking for, and the trust and belief in me to share my vision and my thoughts with the team. And then I think it comes down to just flat out accountability, Paul. So either you can do the job or you can't do the job, but there's no excuse in between. You can't be, oh, I forgot. Oh, I don't care. Oh, it doesn't matter. Like that's not going to work for me.
I've preached that for years, that if each person on the team fully understands and appreciates not only what their part is as it relates to their value, but what their part is as it relates to everybody else's value. If I don't pull my weight, I affect this person, that person, and that person, and that prevents them from hitting their targets. If they don't hit their targets, that prevents this other team from missing their targets. So when everybody understands what they mean to themselves and the rest of the team, now you've got the type of culture that you created, because now everybody's pulling in the same direction. That's huge. I want to get to a couple of comments here. And man, I hate to do this to you, but we're barely through half of what we wanted to talk about. And as what's starting to become a trend here, there's so much freaking engagement that it's hard to cover it all in one show. So I'm going to have to ask you if you'd like to come back so we can kind of cover the other half of the stuff that we never got to.
With 100% certainty, Paul, I really like to finish this conversation and share what I think are duplicatable action items for other leaders in the industry so they can win too, right?
Everybody wins. Let me get to a couple of comments. Craig Tomczyk said 100 cars a day through one service drive is massive. There had to be a line out. Oh, I did that one already. Michael Moore, it was amazing watching that service drive. Gene Girdley, a quick hello in the middle of moving. Rock on, Fixed Ops brothers and sisters. And Robert Sebastian says, love it. We're in the maintenance business. 1,000%. Not the oil change business. Those other folks are in the oil change business. Nice job. Steve DiMarzio says, nice job, Mike. By the way, are you wearing your cool GTR polo shirt?
I'm not. It's a Fixed Ops Doc shirt.
Nathan Williams, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Hey, Paul, long time no see. Jeff Daniels, embrace and master express service. We did almost as much express service last month as main shop back when I started. Retain your customers. And Jerry Davis says, I again got to say Michael Barich has such an unmatched passion, a true leader. Paul, thank you for having Michael on your show. Guys like Michael and Sean are who I try to model myself after. I hope I can do what they have done in my new position. Well,
you can.
The focus, Jerry, and dedication that you have just in getting up early on a Sunday morning to sharpen your axe so that you can get better at what you do, I have no doubt at all. None whatsoever. And let's see here. LinkedIn user, great show, great information. I follow Paul, Mike, and the SDL family faithfully. I've grown tremendously. I absolutely love these guys. Oh, man, thank you. Thanks for giving back, fellas. Lamont. Oh, I love it. Ryan Baum, hashtag number 2 interview. Let's get ready to rumble. Russell B. Hill, yes, another show, number 2. Ron Usher, communication and trust make good text, 100%. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Communication. We may have a show coming up on communication in the not too distant future. Just saying. Michael Moore, Mike AKA TMFT is the GOAT. And those that know him know exactly what those letters stand for.
Thank you, Michael.
Wow. So, all right. So after we log off here, don't log off yourself because we need to talk a little bit more. Mike, this has been phenomenal, man. We've only scratched the surface. And some of the stuff that you've shared here, this is valuable stuff that people can put to use tomorrow. Monday morning, they can put to use some of the stuff that you shared here today. That's what I love about the community that we're part of and that we're building. Nathan Williams says you should host this show on TV. Hey, if you can get the network to pick me up, I'm all ears, man. I'm all ears. I might even get my haircut for the occasion. So thank you so much. And thank you, everybody in the audience that's watching live, for all of your participation and great quality comments. And to those that are going to watch it on the replay, I thank you. And I thank you all for the support. I love it. You guys and gals are what help this show help you and everybody else that watches it on a regular basis. So thank you very much. If you see value in what we discussed here today, please share it with your automotive network, because if you only help one person, then you did some good. LinkedIn user, haircut, love it. Have a safe and successful week next week, and we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again, Mike. Don't go away.
Yes, sir. I just want to say thanks again for allowing me the opportunity to come on your show. I think the second part will be much better than the first part, but I'm my own worst critic. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. All right, folks, we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.
Good night, everybody. Have a great day.